Undisclosed obligations. Some people say that receiving any benefit from our imposter government corporation establishes a contract which may entail unexpressed or implied obligations, and the payment should therefore be refused and returned. I personally see it differently. If you are not required to agree to specific terms as a condition of receiving the benefit, then it is a donation and not a contract. Donations do not confer obligations on the recipient. You may sign the check, but do not sign anything else, and do not fill out any forms or create any other record related to the check or payment unless you are sure it is in your interest. Is stimulus taxable? The stimulus payments may have been represented by the issuer as non-taxable income. Make sure and have your tax preparer classify it on your taxes as a non-taxable donation. Check with your tax preparer for further details. Marking the check. If you deposit the check, do not write donation on the check, because then you would be donating the payment to your bank. Reset money or digital currency. If it comes in the form of a new digital currency or something other than traditional Federal Reserve note currency, it may be putting you in some new classification as taxpayer or currency user. This may be a bad thing for you. Look closely at all clues. Spend it wisely. Whether it comes as a check or a debit card or credit card, use the payment for the fewest, largest payments possible, like pay down your taxes or debt, or purchase a single large item you need. You will be tracked and traced, and whatever you spend the money on will be known and possibly used against you in some way later on. If you owe taxes, that may be the best way to spend the money, because then you are not providing personal information the government doesn't already have. In fact, your stimulus payment may be referred to as a tax credit, so if you do or will owe taxes, that is a good way to use the stimulus payment, because you will have to pay those taxes anyway. Inflation issues. If you are accepting the stimulus payment, spend it as soon as possible. This stimulus money will be inflationary and it will be worth less in a few weeks or days. This is a time to consider turning all cash and Federal Reserve note-based instruments into some better asset like gold, silver or hard assets, because inflation is inevitable with the government passing out trillions of dollars printed out of thin air. Keep records. Save a photocopy copy of both sides of the check and save all cards and paperwork. Read everything. If there is any implication of contract or obligation, then you might consider not taking the payment or writing a declaration that you are accepting the payment as a donation and you are not accepting any terms or obligations associated with the payment. Send that declaration by certified mail to the return address on your payment or to the agency that issued the payment. Save a copy of that declaration and all mail receipts. Be informed, be private. Keep an eye on the alternative uncensored news sources to keep informed of any other legal issues with the stimulus payments, and think critically about what payments you should and should not accept. Nothing is private anymore, so assume that whatever you do with your stimulus payment will be known by hackers, criminals, law enforcement, tax collectors, banks and credit bureaus. Big trouble may be coming. Giving away money is a very odd thing and may indicate some kind of fiscal crisis, trouble, desperation or raging incompetence by those who are controlling currency, public debt and public policy. The stimulus programs, universal basic income, helicopter money and some kinds of subsidies or loan programs can all be indication of very serious problems with our currency, our public debt and our public economic and political policies. These things may be predictors of major impending crashes or large and sudden movements in economic conditions nationally or internationally. When we see our government or banks giving away money, we should be alert to the reliable sources of news on the economy, finance and currency, so we can be prepared for some sudden and major economic events. Talk about a reset may be indicating an impending devaluation of the currency. In that case, it would be really bad to be holding any Federal Reserve notes or FRN-based instruments. In addition to high-value hard assets, it may be wise to have some food and supplies stored and to minimize your debt to avoid possible foreclosure, repossession or eviction. Position yourself financially. It is now very well documented that periodic economic crashes are deliberately caused as land grabs to devalue financial assets and allow those who control currencies and debt to foreclose on massive amounts of debt and take possession of massive amounts of collateral and hard assets. These crashes and depressions are also opportunity for the wealthy elite to buy land, homes and businesses for pennies on the dollar, as people believe their property has lost its value. In those financial crashes, those who carry secured debt and mortgages are systematically robbed of their wealth and assets. In California in January of 2020, Governor Gavin Newsom shamelessly declared his intention to buy billions of dollars worth of distressed properties while providing no relief to the people whose homes he will be taking. These crashes are not some accident, they are very carefully planned and executed to transfer wealth to the super wealthy classes, banks and government by causing financial devastation to the general public. To minimize damage to you, stay out of debt and do not sell when your assets are dipping in value. When property values are low, that is the time to buy.